love the Winx Club series. It was one of my all-time favorite shows when I was younger. I used to have a couple of Winx dolls, I had the Nintendo games, I had those tiny comic magazines I used to cut up and collage them, and I had some random card game which came in a metal suitcase, which I never understand how to play it. I knew it had dices. I never played this game probably, but I used the cards to look at the pretty pictures and redraw them and just enjoyed the art of the Winx. Winx Club was actually a really big factor for me to start drawing and most importantly keep drawing. At some point I made a complete folder. I called it my Winx book, in which I systematically drawn every single Winx girl in each transformation that was out at this time and their civilian outfits. Each pixie, each tricks, even those weird looking animal pets from season 4. Yeah, if I remember correctly. I might even have done the specialists, the guys. I even probably draw the guys, but I'm not sure about that. So my point is, the series and the franchise is really nostalgic for me and will always hold a special place in my heart. So it should be no surprise that I got super excited when I heard about the reboot. After the disaster that's season 8, it was deeply needed, so I thought. But then I saw the first few promo shots and release arts and concepts, and yeah, let's say I realized that I'm definitely not the target audience anymore. Without being too mean, I just think it doesn't really look good from what I've seen so far. Granted, it's still in the making, there could be a lot of changes still made, but what I've seen so far, I don't like the look of it. And I really don't want to insult any artists that might have worked on the new designs and the concepts, unless they're the one who used the alleged AI art, then I'm side-eyeing you big times. But every other designer, I bet they tried their best with what they got. It just doesn't look, or more importantly, feel like the Winx Club we all know and love. So yeah, I was sad for a moment, not gonna lie, but then I remembered I'm not 8 years anymore and produce the most cursed Winx fan art known to mankind anymore. And I realized I just can't do my own redesigns if I want to make them how I like them, and that's exactly what I did. And that's also what this video is about. Hello, I'm Kaya, I talk a lot. Anyway, in this first part I show you my redesigns of Bloom and Flora and also explain my thought and ideas behind the choices of designs I made. But before I start to show you all my redesigns of the girls, please note that I purposely aged all of them up, like they did in the seasons. I don't know when they stopped, but in the show they also aged them up, like from season to season. And in my interpretation I made them all like young adult women in their mid to late 20s, simply because I love the OG designs of the Winx Club, which were those platform boots and sparkly short dresses, and I simply just don't feel comfortable or okay with drawing an imagined 16-year-old designs that are heavily inspired by short-cut t-shirts and skirts. So I know it's always a big topic about the designs or fan arts of the Winx because they're technically like teenagers, but I purposefully, this word was gonna be the end of me, made sure that they are age appropriate. So otherwise it would just didn't sit right with me. But with all that said, let's start with the actual drawing. So I start with Bloom. She is the main character after all. Also, I don't get all of the Bloom hate I see. As a kid, she was one of my favorites. I know, basic, but I could just relate to her the most. She was portrayed as the stubborn, artsy, nerdy fantasy girl who loved fairies, and I could just really relate to her. And she had a rabbit like I did, so obviously I suffered from main character syndrome and was just waiting for my invitation to Althea. Sad to say, I'm still waiting. Initially I wanted to go through all the reboot designs and the original designs and explain what I like, what makes the character feel like the character, and which elements I took or which elements I like took inspiration from, and also try to incorporate the Reboot design a bit and not just throw it completely to the wall, because not all is bad. But for Bloom, I need it big on a big screen. So I have it now open on my big screen, if you see me looking in this direction, so I can talk about a bit more better about the visual ideas. But there was not much I really liked about the Reboot design for Bloom that I could be bothered to include in my designs. I'm not a fan of the ponytail for her and the braids and the outfit design. It all seems a bit too generic, a bit too boring, and maybe I like the shoulder armor thingy she has going on because it's like, I like the asymmetry of it, and the hair kind of gave me a Vario vibe, which I quite like and is fitting. Overall, I just think the whole design, if you look at it, it's just too tame. It doesn't say much. It doesn't say main character, which is okay because they're a group, but it doesn't say like wild fire fairy or holder of the dragon flame. It's just there, in my opinion. If you look at the group, it's not outstanding or individual in a sense like the old Winx designs, where it just lacks personality. So for my design, I took more inspiration from the original because it's iconic. I made it more asymmetrical though, but I kept the color with the gold jewel. Trying to explain my decisions. At this point I realize I'm not a fashion designer and I have no idea how clothing parts called, but like the waistbands of the top and the skirts, I keep the triangle shape because it's like individual to Bloom's design. Those big cuts, those pointy parts, you know what I mean, because you can see it on the screen, hopefully. So from her charmix and her enchantix, she has some heart themes going on. Her charmix is a heart she wears on her chest. That's why I also gave the cutout of the top, but like a reversed heart because it looked better than right side up. And instead of her tiara, she got also a heart-shaped hair clip and some heart earrings. Just the theme just comes up a lot with her and I like it, it's cute. Regarding the hair, it's maybe a controversial choice, but I decided against the three part bangs, what's it called? Those pointy bangs in her face. Even though I know it's her iconic hairstyle, I wanted more variety. Plus, I always thought the side bangs looked really nice in her enchantix form. It also makes her look a bit older. Also, no braids, just keep the hair a bit more natural. Still really long, but no braids. Her arm wraps, it got swept out for some big braids. That's made from gold. Her usual thin fabric sleeves just scream fire hazard. She, after all, she's firing fireballs through the world. And it's not like the Winx are not known for setting things on fire. So we keep it safer with the gold bracelets. Also, it makes it different to the dress Flora has. You can see later. And yeah, but one thing you will hear me complain a lot in this series is how empty the girls' arms look, like in the Reboot. I feel like the dresses and the Winx there's so much going on. Especially the Winx have so much detail, and then their arms just like necky. Also the shoes, barely noteworthy in the Reboot. I know the original has just those platform boots, but it's... I know, now it's the same. It's the same, the boots are the same for everyone. Almost the same. Anyway, one thing I missed in the Reboot from the original is how, if you look at all the Winx fairies together, everyone had a distinctive color to them, like they were color coded, and even though the colors were like so vastly different, like yellow and orange is stellar, but yellow, pink and red and blue and purple and green, it all went well together. Well, what I miss in the Reboot is that if you look from afar, Tekna, Bloom and Layla kind of look the same in color-wise, and Flora and Musa have the same color scheme, and still it doesn't really look so nice. I don't know, it's just not, and it's just a bit sad. Yes, Bloom still has her red hair and technically wears blue, but when she stands to the others, it looks like it all kind of blends. There's no individuality. There's no individuality really in their colors. So I keep the turquoise color from the original design. I cut out all the pink parts, though I don't think in the Magic Winx Bloom she had pink. She had a lot of pink in the Billy Winx upwards, but I don't like Bloom so much. Pink, pastel pink is okay, but I just cut all the pink parts and went with turquoise and gold. Yeah, I don't hate pink in Bloom. I don't hate Bloom in pink clothing, but since this is my fan art, I went with gold and turquoise. For the material of the clothing, which was an original like really sparkly and just seemed all to be the same material for each girl, but just sparkly. But then it was 2D animation, there is not so much you can do in this regard. But I wanted my version to have like a metallic look to it and not that rubbery vinyl kind of feeling from the renders. Yeah, after all those reboot redesigns, brain freeze. After I'm finished with all the girls redesigns, I'm gonna be the master of shiny materials because they keep me busy. But I think it's worth it. I really like how Bloom's material shine, clothing shine turned out. And the outfit is obviously gonna have some sparkle as well, but I am doing those final touches at the end while I'm rendering the whole piece to see a bit more better where light and everything needs to go. So, but don't worry, there's gonna be sparkle. As for the wings, like the wings, the butterfly, the flying wings, I love the individuality and the simplicity of the old. Again, compare Layla and Bloom. Now their wings look way too similar in my opinion. Granted, they were somewhat similar in the original series as well, but it wasn't so obvious because the rest of the design was more unique. I took Bloom's old wings design and just made it a bit more spiky, a bit more edgy, like actual flames, while still trying to keep it minimalistic. I really like the idea of them glowing. Fun fact, I used to have like a Bloom doll with electric wings, and if you would push her arms down, they would flutter and glow. And while I was working on this piece, I was thinking about my doll and I have no idea where she is. I know where my other doll is, but I don't know where the glowing wings one is. Sad. But I might not have my tiny Bloom doll anymore. But now I have my grown-up Bloom redesign. Yay, master of transitions. Seriously, but I love how she turned out. I think I captured her essence quite well and how this character feels to me. And importantly, I had so much fun with her design and drawing her, and the whole process was just like, it was just like really fun. So next up is Flora. Unlike with Bloom, I actually don't hate her new design. I feel like Flora, the fairy of nature, is conceptually an easy one to design for. There are so many different directions you can go with a nature theme, especially if flowers and plants are involved. Across the different series and transformations, I feel like Flora always had one of the least hated designs and transformations. People just love Flora, I feel. And most of the time her design looks nice and is in character. And honestly, I think she does in the reboot too. So credit where credit is due. Oh, that's right. I like that they keep her in a dress. I really loved corsety style dress with a flowy skirt, both in the original and the reboot. It just fits her. So I wanted her to wear something similar in my design as well. In the reboot, I like the idea of the skirt being made out of petals. I just think the execution is not so well done. It looks rubbery and stiff, but then it just could be this certain render and they could still change it. So, but like in my reference picture, I don't like that, like the material choice. In my version, I focused more on the flowy, natural look that better reflects her nature powers. Instead of the flowers just sitting kind of on the corset, I designed the top with cups to be shaped like a lotus flower with the pointy petals, and the skirt is more of a rose petal situation, soft and layered and more flowing. I don't really get I'm looking at the random flower and the band that they put on her arm. It feels like they couldn't decide if they wanted to go with sleeves or with sleeveless, and it seems like they went with a weird compromise. But I admit I struggled with the sleeves myself. If you saw the sketch layer where I was working, I originally had another idea. I originally had those string-like sleeves planned, but then I switched to the sheer full sleeves ones. I love the whimsical touch they give. It looks better than those stringies I had planned at first. Plus, anything more in those strings would have clashed a bit more with the shoes I planned, which already have those thin and wine-like stripes around the calf. I feel like an open shoe just fits Flora. In some of her civilian outfits she's seen wearing them, like open-toed, is it called like that? High heels. I wanted my Winx designs to have more variety. As much as I love to put everyone in platform booms 24/7, I try to be a bit more flexible. She still got a pretty high heel though. Still the Winx Club after all, come on. Oh, and I almost forgot to roast the Reboot shoes. Honestly, they remind me a bit of 2012 era white girl shoes, which is not bad. It's just not Winx Club and doesn't have the fashion forward, like the modern fashion sense that the Winx always had. Now jumping back from her feet to her head again with potential controversial opinion based on some passionate comments I read before. I actually like the braid, or rather I like the idea of the braid. It fits her whimsical and nature inspired vibe and it looks really cute, but the execution not so much. It looks small and rigid and her hair just doesn't look magically and full. And yeah, one thing about the Winx Girls, I was like, the hair, the big hair, and this braid is not giving this illusion. I imagine a bigger braid, a bit more loose, a bit more flowy, and yeah, I think this is what I would way more prefer. Some tiny fly hairs, like just a fairy that flew through the nature. Like I said in the Bloom section, I'd like to stay in the original color schemes because this is what makes the group look so good together. And to be fair, they keep Flora's color pretty well. I'm just sad they made her wings pink too. It's like pink on pink on pink on pink. I love pink, but no, there is no contrast except for the tiny bit of green on her necklace, on her collar. What's it called? The band, the necklace, the collar. Is it called a collar? On the neck thingy she wears. She also looks a bit lighter skinned in the reboot, though this could just be the lightening of the render and I would need to see more concept art, more finished results now to really judge on that. But she looks a bit lighter. Anyway, I try to keep the original colors as well to break up the pink of her dress and the warm tones of her hair and her skin. I colored the shoes green and keep the necklace band also green, just to give it a bit more contrast. And yes, she got a bit of makeup. Just a little shimmer in pink and some lipstick. Just some soft makeup. For me a soft makeup. And now I sit here with pink glitter to my ears. But I just a soft makeup for Flora as well. Lastly, the wings. Like with Bloom, I prefer the more simple wings. I don't hate the Reboot wings, but it's just like, it's butterfly wings, and Stella has butterfly wings, and Musa also has butterfly wings. Like, it's the same again, it's like interchangeable, just change the color. And though I don't think the wings in the Flora Reboot are too overwhelming, the simple ones are just pretty. They were really unique in the shape of almost like a petal or a leaf, and yeah, I keep them because I didn't want to overload my illustration with even more flower or like flower in your face motifs, and keep it simple. Sometimes less is more. Yeah, I just put some veining, like veins in the wings, because now I decided to give every wing a simple glow. With that, Flora's also done. So that concludes the first part of my Winx series, and I can't wait to continue because I'm so excited about the other ones. But I also would love to know your opinion, how you would have changed the designs, or do you think the new look is as good as it is? Maybe you never liked all the simpler 2D style animation and much prefer the 3D renders. I would really be interested about more opinions. For me, it's just super nostalgic to draw something from my childhood. I don't know when I started, maybe 17 years ago. Winx came out in 2004. I don't think I was drawing them in 2004, but like a couple of years later, 2008 maybe. It feels like revisiting a piece of my childhood. It's still fun and magical in a different way now, but I still know I enjoy it the same way as I did back then as a kid. This series is just a fun little side project for me right now, and I hope you enjoy it too, and that you're excited for the next ones. And just to say it again before I end this video now, everything I said is just a personal opinion. In the end, I don't really care if I like the reboot or not. Like, I'm not pressed about a kids show not catering to my aesthetic. If I want the nostalgia, I can go back and watch the first 3-4 seasons and then read a fanfiction. You know what I mean? So it's just for fun. The announcement of the Winx series just sparked my inspiration, and that is what really matters. Having fun, being creative, and keeping a little bit of magic in your day-to-day life. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I see you on the next part of my Winx redesigns.